Alright, so I played a game recently called Urban Myth Dissolution Center. Wow, I think the last time I felt such adoration for an engine was with Zero Escape. This is like a diet version. A lot less pseudoscience and a lot more redundancy, which does mean that the game is far from perfect, but that engine, damn, I would definitely recommend this flawed visual novel. What is it about? Well, exactly what it says on the tin. The gameplay involves walking around, inspecting everything and talking to people. In the end, the seemingly supernatural occurrences turn out to be more mundane than expected. Sometimes, at least. There is no way to fail anything or any branching paths, which honestly is a little disappointing. Would have liked there to be some bad endings so the final reveal feels a bit more earned. Anyway, what did I enjoy? Well, the ending twist, Already said so, wouldn't say any of it. Just would like to say that these sorts of things are hard to tell sometimes, so much so that I only saw like half of it coming. Great stuff. I've liked the characters as well, or more so the main character and how she interacts with everybody. She's very much a likable doofus who is a bit too nice and naive for her own good. And the fact that she's forced to do these things is a bit silly. So, to spell it out, it's the setup. She is invited to sit down, gets pricked with something, then told, "Oh, that's an ancient death chair. Everyone who sits on it dies." With no remorse or concern for her well-being. She then proceeds to break it and discover that it's a little too old for what the toxin doesn't actually work and it completely expired. Only to get promptly slapped with a bill for destroying an antique and forced into indentured servitude as a detective. Yeah, the story gets a little silly sometimes, that's definitely another plus. I do also like the art style. Scraping the bottom of a barrel here as far as compliments go, but still, I have to mention it, because there's just so little to talk about without spoiling anything. Anyway, I like big pixels and I cannot lie. Your other whips can't deny. But when a game walks in with tiny resolution and the big sharp corners in your face, you get sprung. Yeah, it's a little hard to rhyme. I won't do it anymore. So, the negatives. The writing can be a bit annoying, by which I mean it's got the typical Japanese translation style of saying something 3 different ways back to back, and then rephrasing it again. I assume it works better in the original, but as it is, frequently just felt extremely redundant. There are also moments where the player has to do a thinking segment, which is essentially just repeating what they were already told. "Oh, I want to compile my notes on this character I just met. They are..." And there are 2 blank spaces to input their work and how they are related to the victim. Very tedious at times. Especially because, unlike a lot of visual novels, there is no skip or speed up for dialogue. Skip only appears after going through the same dialogue, so it's pointless. In addition, the translation is a bit janky sometimes, especially apparent during those thinking segments with blank spaces. At times the player has to write 2 or 3 sentences, and technically the answer fits, but it's not in the order it's supposed to be, so even if it's not incorrect, the game doesn't recognize it as correct. A bit tedious, to say the least. Which actually leads into a pacing problem. At times the mystery is so obvious it becomes suspicious. I thought, well, there's no way it's still going, that means there's more. They are going to reveal some huge twist, and the obvious solution is not actually the case. Only to end up being the obvious solution. I was upset at this more often than not. To be frank, in hindsight, the mystery of some museum admin was painfully obvious. But again, since the reveal was so slow, I have assumed there is actually something entirely different, which is why the rug was pulled from under me once the twist suddenly went even further than that. But not gonna go any further. And the music wasn't very good. But it's no big deal, there's a rap which happens at the end of every chapter, and personally I've enjoyed at best 5, maybe 6 songs in my life. Rap songs, I mean. But none of them were Japanese, so when this one kicked in, I was always silently cringing. Honestly, the song is not even that bad. I've enjoyed the parts which were not rap, but sadly it is both. Which brings me to the last minor thing. The game got 2 different art styles, the sprites with the cutscenes and the actual characters walking around. That walking around part looks horrible. It's serviceable, I wasn't confused what I was looking at, but it was simply not pleasant to look at. It's the sprites and the cutscenes that I have enjoyed. Especially that little animation of Zami putting on the glasses. She's just so adorable. Anyway, yeah, I'd say on a discount it would be a solid game to pick up. Shouldn't expect the world, but as a game to wind down and play it in bed with a gamepad, it's good. I definitely did not regret my time a bit. By the way, another game which supports generic gamepad. I don't get why Japanese devs can do this without a problem, yet Western devs mess this up so damn often. Don't actually remember a single Japanese game which has gamepad support and failed to recognize mine. Meanwhile, with Western games all the goddamn time. Anyway, just a tangent.